Alright, this is the last video of this of my documentary that I've done. This is going to be my conclusion. I think I've tried to cover as much as I could in the other videos as to what life is like. I don't know how well I've done, how clear I've made everything be, but nonetheless it was important that I got that out because honestly, I got tired of being abandoned and, you know, just basically left for dead by my family. Really, it's got a lot to do with them, you know what I mean? So, you know, if you got a family member who's got this disease and you guys are doing the same thing to them, maybe you might want to reconsider, you know, because you're not doing any good for the person who's got this, and, you know what I mean, because the anxiety and the stress levels that go along with having HIV/AIDS, and that term is funny. I mean, HIV/AIDS. People ask, you know what I mean, sometimes, what's the difference? Well, you know, you can be diagnosed with HIV and not have full-blown AIDS, or if the HIV has been in your body for long enough, you might be diagnosed with full-blown AIDS. You're still HIV positive, but you'll have full-blown AIDS. I mean, because the virus has just done its damage throughout the years and you just didn't know about it. So, but nonetheless, if you've got a family member who's got this, you know, try to be a little more reasonable and try to be a little more understanding. I hope these videos gives you a picture as to what it's like. Now, I know I've done one on the chemo and side effects of the chemo. That's when you've got full-blown AIDS and you have an AIDS-related cancer, and you have to go through that. So I just want to make sure, like, I really showed what that's all about. But okay, so now I've covered that. But the other thing I want to make sure that I covered is there's a couple of things. Number one, I keep referring to this cancer as this cancer in the other videos. Well, this cancer is called Kaposi sarcoma. Now, I want to make sure I got that out. You know, if you can Google it and find out whatever you want about it. But basically, if you've seen the movie Philadelphia, you've seen Tom Hanks with all the marks on his face, you know what I mean? And I think it eventually, I think that's what killed him in the end. That's what this is. However, the lesions that I recall from the movie, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but the lesions that I remember seeing is that they were red. Well, these lesions really are a deep purple. So, I mean, imagine those same marks that you see, but as in a purple color. And I know it because I had them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, with the chemo now, this has helped to keep everything at bay. However, I recently found out that I'm going to end up developing a tolerance to the chemo, and the lesions are going to come back, and I'm going to have to go through probably new chemicals and everything else, and probably next time I'm going to lose all my hair. Not just thin out my hair, I'll probably lose it all. So I want to make sure that I got that out, at least to let you know what kind of cancer I've got. There is, here in Canada, there's a list of different AIDS-related cancers. You know what I mean? If you've got one, then you have AIDS, obviously. And this is one of them. So, you know, and all it is from either not being diagnosed with HIV early enough, or, you know, and that the HIV has developed into full-blown AIDS, or it's, in my case, neglect of medications, which, you know, when you are being abandoned and, you know, you're being, you know, you've got the anxiety and the stress and all this, it's hard to feel motivated to take your meds or whatever like this. And, I mean, I had a lot of factors that contributed to me not wanting to take my meds. It took me like a good 3 or 4 years to get over the depression and to be able to stand there and say, no, I'm going to fight, rather than letting this kill me. But by the time I had done that, like I said in another video, it was a little too late. You know what I mean? I had already developed the cancer. So, you know, from there, it's a fight. But nonetheless, I'm surviving, you know, doing this on my own. I've got some help from one of my sisters. As you've seen in the video of the chemotherapy, you see me from time to time smiling, you know, and going like this kind of thing. Well, that's just because I'm trying to signal to my sister to stop filming. You know what I mean? And there's another time where I actually had to kick her. You know, you didn't see that, but I'm just trying to tap her on her leg to stop filming. I mean, I couldn't tell her just to turn around and stop filming, but nonetheless. So anyway, you know, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the video. So that's the one thing that I want to make sure I clear up was the type of cancer that this is called. And like I said, you can Google it. You know, I mean, I'll find out more information about it. The other thing that I want to discuss is the usefulness of marijuana. Now, I say this term usefulness, not necessity. If you have healthier choices in terms of dealing with stress and anxiety, insomnia, and of course nausea as well, by all means use those. But if you don't, I have to admit, I'm not a drug pusher, nothing like this. I'm not trying to push it, but I'm just trying to make it clear that it is very useful. It is very beneficial, and I've been a pot smoker for over 20 years, and I'm going to tell you honestly, like, I use it now the same as what I did before. I used it when I was working, even before I was like diagnosed. I used it for stress from work, to stimulate appetite, and to most definitely sleep at night. And since being diagnosed, I mean, the stress levels just quadruple. So I mean, I'm still using it for the same reason, to stimulate appetite, stress, and of course, most importantly, to sleep at night. And I have to admit, it really does work wonders. However, like I said, if you have a healthier choice other than that, use that, because I mean, I'm not going to try to suggest anybody to be getting started into drug use. I mean, it's considered as a drug. I don't consider it as a drug. So, you know, I mean, it doesn't have to be processed or anything like this, but unfortunately, legally, they do consider it. That's why it's not legal. But if you have a better choice, I mean, go ahead, use that instead, you know. But if you don't, this is a great option B. Okay, so that pretty well concludes what I have to say. I hope these videos are informative. I mean, I'm not a researcher, I'm not a professional or anything like this, but I just thought that I need to get this out in the open and to kind of educate the general public in layman's terms, really, of what life is like for someone living with this disease. If you've got a family member who's got this disease, I mean, just pay attention, you know what I mean? And try to be as helpful and supportive as you can. You have no worries about catching the disease, not going to jump out and grab you. You know, just really, you've got not much to worry about in terms of just being around these people. You got nothing to worry about. But nonetheless, I hope these things these videos are very informative. As I try to be as informative as I could, and in layman's terms, I mean, just based on my own experience, okay. And really, the message is quite simple. You know, I mean, if you're HIV positive, take your meds every day. I mean, if you don't, this is what's going to happen, and it's not a pretty picture. You know what I mean? And you know, if for those of you who aren't HIV positive, which a vast majority aren't, you know, try to be a little more supportive, okay? Because one day, who knows? Who knows? You may even end up with this yourself. And do you want to have to go through that same crap? You know? So try to be a little more supportive. Also, one more thing too, is I did try to make these videos as for a general audience, in case there's any children in the room or whatever like this. If you've noticed, I haven't used any profanity or anything like this to describe things or whatever. You know what I mean? I did it on purpose, just so that in case there's any kids that want to watch these videos, it's also, they can also watch it as well. You know what I mean? Well, I hope this was informative for you, and I hope you guys all learned something. You know what I mean? And you know, good luck. Good luck. Keep yourself safe. You know, this is it. This is about all I can say. You know, I've tried to show what my life is like. I've talked about everything as much as I could. You know, and so be it. You know, good luck to all of you, and I hope none of you guys ever get HIV, become HIV positive. It's not a pretty picture. But if you do, and you need some support, try to use these videos. You know what I mean? To show. I'm trying to make these so that you can get a better picture as to what life is like. And it sucks. I have to admit, it does suck. But I mean, you know, it's the way it is. Alright? Alright. Take care.